on his way. Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
How's it going, Dylan?
I feel echoey, yeah.
Why is it so echoey in here?
Because we've removed some of the stuff.
That's true. We are in the process of moving into our dream house.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like Barbie, but like less cute.
You know, I never
Moving
thought
into
about
a dream mansion.
the logistics of Barbie and Ken moving into the dream mansion. You know what I mean? It sounds great, looks great, but then somebody's got to move all their stuff inside.
Well, Ken's got friends,
Okay.
right? And there's all the different versions of Ken.
So all the different clones of Ken can help do the heavy lifting?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You know, there's like the different Kens.
There are a lot of different Kens. That's what we've figured out so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like a Kevin doll. Like I do remember there was like Kevin and I don't know. They all had different names.
Brad. Would it be a Brad?
I mean,
Maybe
that sounds like a realistic name for a Ken doll. A Brad.
Trevor or Cody?
A Shane.
A Shane, of course.
A Dakota.
Aha.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm just thinking like Barbie and the Rockers Ken could help like Malibu Ken move.
Well, I don't have a bunch of versions of Dylan, so I'm SOL.
That's too bad. I don't think the world can handle multiple versions of you.
No, it would cause chaos and worlds would collide.
It's true. Dylan, you have a bit of sad news for us.
Yes. Terrible news learned of till just this evening. Leslie Jordan has passed away.
That's really sad because he was such an Appalachian icon. I feel like we have very few iconic folks from Appalachia that kind of make it big and also sort of encompass the spirit of Appalachia. And he was one of those characters.
Yes, it seems like he had a car wreck and passed away due to the car wreck. So how sad is that?
Very sad.
And he was so full of joy and just, you know, as of late has become kind of this social media darling.
What are y'all doing? Screwing?
A resurgence of him to a whole nother generation.
That's true, yeah.
And
I was never a fan of Will and Grace. And not to say I didn't like the show. I never watched it. But I know tons of people. That was a hugely popular show back in the day.
Yeah.
And folks loved Leslie Jordan on Will and Grace.
And he actually received an Emmy for that character. So that's amazing. So yeah, he was just one of those guys who was just, you couldn't help but laugh or smile when you heard him talking.
He was adorable.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we have some true crime news, Dylan, a bit of an update. The 5-year-old girl, Harmony Montgomery, who has been missing since 2019. We have an update. Her father has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder in connection with her death. This is coming to us from the New Hampshire Attorney General, John Formula. Adam Montgomery, age 32, has also been charged not only with the second-degree murder, but falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with witnesses or informants.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of charges.
Harmony was reported missing in November of 2021 by her mother, Crystal Sorey, who said she last saw the girl in the spring of 2019 during a FaceTime call. So 2 years, just about, her daughter's missing. I mean, can you imagine what that has to feel like for this poor mother and the relatives of this little girl?
No, and you just never have answers, and you're just left wondering, and your mind and your imagination running wild as to what could have happened. And it's just, I can't think of a more terrible thing, honestly.
Harmony was last seen in October of 2019, and investigators concluded in August that the 5-year-old had been murdered. They said that Montgomery, her father, Adam Montgomery, I will get that out, recklessly caused the death of his daughter under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of life by repeatedly striking Harmony in the head with a closed fist in Manchester on or about December 7th, 2019.
Yeah, what do you even say to that? Someone hitting this poor little innocent thing like that.
Adam destroyed, concealed, or hid the girl's body between December 7th, 2019 and March 4th of 2020, preventing authorities from conducting a proper investigation. He purposefully attempted to induce or otherwise cause Harmony's stepmother, Kayla Montgomery, to falsely testify in the investigation into her disappearance in December of 2019 and also in January of 2022.
Oh, my God. So do you think...
These monsters who kill children and parents who murder their own children, which I don't know if it's cyclical or if we get one news story and then they kind of run with it as far as true crime news. But I feel like as of late, Dylan, there have been so many of these sad stories of parents murdering their children.
Yes, there in Georgia we have the story of Quentin Simon. And he's and they have named his mother as the prime suspect, and but yet have not charged her with anything. And the FBI and the CCPD have notified Quentin Simon's family that we believe he is in fact deceased. So it's just like, yeah, I get what you were saying earlier. Is it happening more frequently, or is this the story being reported more frequently? Right, because there's a lot of them out there.
We've got a Virginia mom in the news charged with the murder of her 4-year-old after the child ate a large amount of THC gummies. And we have another headline of foul play suspected in disappearance of a Texas girl aged 2 whose father allegedly killed her mother. And these stories just never seem to turn out well. But they're just, I don't know, it seems to be sort of an uptick in some of these stories, and I don't know if that's by design to, shake us to our core.
To continue the chaos and to make you feel unsettled. Just a few weeks ago, a man cut his own leg off in front of his child.
We discussed that, yeah.
That's not traumatic at all, right? That child's not scarred for life. I don't get it. It's like, it's not all drug related, but like people are doing some of the weirdest things on the drugs of today. You know what I mean? Like totally, like they're going into another state.
Like psychosis or something.
Psychosis and just doing the most insane things. And just, I don't know how you fight against your natural inclination to protect your child. Our species wouldn't have made it if that wasn't inherent in most of us, right? And these people harm and kill their own child. And I don't even want to hear that, oh, it was an accident. The parent disciplined them too hard. I'm sorry. I've busted my kid's ass back in the day a little bit, and I never came close to killing them. I never broke bones. I never left marks on them. So I don't get it. I don't get how you can do it.
I don't understand.
And then do it again. When you see the poor little baby who's just confused, doesn't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it like that. And yeah, no one to turn to for help.
It's fucking heartbreaking. Okay, Dylan.
So yes, Heather's been very busy.
I've been so busy. You've been so busy. And to add to our fucking chaotic schedules, right? We're moving.
Yes, it's
Finally.
true. Mountain Murder Studio is officially moving. We're moving to the big house.
We're actually moving into a space that is going to be a dedicated studio only.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about that.
That's going to be incredible. We're not sure what kind of treatments we need. Hopefully everything sounds decent and good. And we're really excited about that. Really think we'll have more opportunity for finding an angle that we both don't look stupid on and filming us podcast and
You mean
putting
like virtual live show type of thing?
virtual
Dylan?
live shows, blah blah blah, little videos on the YouTubes, and we cannot wait to play around with that.
It's going to be fun.
It is, but in Heather's busy schedule, she's managed to eke out a little story for us, right?
I have managed to put together a true crime case out of North Carolina. And just real quick, as we are kind of settling into this moving process, because of with our busy work schedules, it's going to take us a few days to get moved in, get settled. So over the next week or so, if our episodes are kind of wonky and we're not on a good schedule, don't think that we've abandoned you or that you'll never hear from Mountain Murders again. We just have to get our shit straight. So let us get our shit in order and we will have podcast episodes back on a regular schedule. We promise.
It's true. And we've been, a little hit or miss, here and there because it's already been crazy. And now we're throwing the move in on top of it. But we will get it straightened out as soon as possible.
Okay, Dylan, we've been chatting a little too much. Let's get into our case.
Let's go.
Some people have described High Point, North Carolina during a furniture market like Indianapolis on race day. 4 times a year, the week-long event would attract as many as 100,000 buyers from across the globe.
Wow.
This furniture market.
Now, and this is in an area that's fairly low population and stuff, right? Not super populated. Kind of a small town area.
High Point is a small town.
Yeah, and you have an influx of 100,000 plus people, right?
High Point is the only city in North Carolina, Dylan, that spans 4 counties.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like situated right in the corners of these like 4 counties.
Okay.
Yeah. And is named from having been the highest spot on North Carolina's first east-west railroad. It was considered an early transportation hub. Major industries in High Point, as you may have guessed, include furniture manufacturing, tobacco, especially back in the day, and textiles. And we have a lot of textile mills in the Piedmont area of North Carolina. We've discussed that before on other episodes.
You just described 3 industries, save for tobacco, that are basically gone from this country now.
It's true.
Yep, textiles and furniture have fled the shores.
Settled before 1750 by German immigrants and Quakers, High Point originally saw the furniture makers as artisans, and mostly they came from England. But by the 19th century, they had grown into a manufacturing destination, especially with cheap labor after Reconstruction happened. A lot of the farmers moved into the cities and needed work.
Yeah, well, that's when you get industry moves in. The jobs are concentrated instead of being spread out over hundreds of miles. There's a whole lot of jobs inside of a 10 square mile area, and it only makes sense the workers are going to come.
The first furniture company, the High Point Furniture Manufacturing Company, was formed in 1889. Subsequently, from 1890 to 1900, 38 new furniture factories opened in the state, with 13 of those in the city of High Point.
Out of 32?
Out of 38.
Oh, wow.
The Southern Railway line was formed in 1894, and High Point was shipping 8 fully loaded freight cars of furniture each day by 1898. By the turn of the century, High Point had become the leading manufacturing furniture center in the South. Over 40 furniture companies in the city and surrounding area kind of made up this huge furniture mecca, and 8 freight cars. Can you imagine? That is a lot of furniture, and it's being like made by hand. And I mean, these are real craftsmen.
Can you imagine how much setting and looking you could do in this area back then?
You mean because of all the chairs, Dylan?
Yes, and the comfortable couches.
Meanwhile, other manufacturers set up local factories to provide related products like veneers, plate glass, mirrors, painting, and locks to these various furniture companies. So you had all these like subsidiary kind of companies.
Subsidiaries?
Yeah.
Subsidiaries, submerged ones. So when
Look,
you have
don't make fun of me, okay?
a lot of people miss this when you talk about an industry, all the side work or all the different industries that support them with their raw materials and all that stuff to help them accomplish whatever product or goal they're trying to do. And a lot of people, there's a ripple effect through communities. When you lose one place, it might be 6 places within 50 miles of it also lose their jobs or stop operating. Because, a lot of times you have a huge contract with, a really something that moves through a lot of materials, like this furniture place with all the wood and veneers and stuff. They might be your only contract.
See, I knew if I discussed the manufacturing side of things, it would get you pumped and ready to talk about this case, Dylan.
Let's talk about
He
furniture.
loves talking about industry.
It's true.
Just loves it.
I love raw materials.
You're just like a man of steel, Dylan.
Wow.
A titan of industry.
Ah, yes.
You
J.P.
wish.
Morgan.
You wish you were. With the white oak forests of the Piedmont region, it was no wonder the area was booming. And with this white oak, it almost had like this polished shine to it. It made beautiful furniture, and it was in high demand. In the 1980s, executives in the furniture industry around High Point were revered as like status symbols. It was like the equivalent of being like a doctor or a lawyer.
Oh, being a furniture maker from High Point?
Like a furniture executive.
Oh, wow. Okay, so very popular industry in the area. Everyone knows someone that works in the industry, likely, Yeah.
Rob Coulthard and his wife Sandy were considered a young couple with upward mobility. At only 30, Rob was the new vice president of sales and marketing for Crestwood Furniture Company. By 1987, Rob was no longer expected to frequently travel for work on sales calls, but still had a hefty travel budget, which he used to stay at the best hotels and dine in the finest restaurants. He was enjoying success and seemed to relish in this kind of like status that came along with that.
Yeah, he's like a rock star. Furniture executive. Yes. Ask me about padding. I know all about cushions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a nice sturdy desk.
Wow.
Desk, Dylan.
Oh, a roll top?
Solid.
Solid wood?
Just solid wood.
Solid
Hardwood.
hardwood.
Polished.
Wow. What else?
I don't know.
Speckled?
Just not that shit, that particle board shit
Yeah.
that everything's made
Yeah.
out of nowadays.
We commented on furniture, even when we were younger, kids, if you will, jumping on the couch. It would be like those heavy pieces of just chunks of wood. The one that is like, would have the loud prints, but the frame would be like big square chunks of wood and put together.
It has that same print everybody had back in the like early 80s, late 70s, and it was like that sort of cream off-white color with like the brown.
Yes.
I don't even know what you'd call it, like an outdoor sort of print on
And
it.
it'd have like big wood
Like
dowels.
it almost looked like mossy oak print or some shit on your couch.
Yeah.
It's like grandma's everywhere had this couch.
But these couches are still turning up in Salvation Armies and Goodwills
They
now.
definitely are.
But you will not see any furniture, even the middle to higher end stuff that you just pay way more money for, has the extra cup holder. You're not going to see those in thrift stores 30 years from now because they're literally made to deteriorate and break down now. Used to, they were a lot hardier.
You're paying more
For less.
for a pile of shit,
That's true.
basically. Sandy, his 30-year-old wife, was an active member of the Junior League and taught Sunday school at their Baptist church. The couple had 2 children, 3-year-old daughter Stuart and 1-year-old son Adam. The family lived in a hoity-toity neighborhood, Dylan, called Emery Wood Forest in a Tudor-style home. Which, by the way, I love those Tudor-style homes.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. That sounds, what was the name of the name?
Emery Wood Forest.
Oh, you get lost in Emery Wood Forest.
Some people described it as like the Beverly Hills of High Point at one time.
Oh, yeah.
So like ritzy neighborhood, super country club.
So instead of Rodeo Drive, they have like Shallow Creek would be like the shopping district.
Maybe.
Yeah, go down on Shallow Creek and buy you something.
Both were graduates of the prestigious Wake Forest University, and Sandy had come from a prominent family. Born in Toronto, her parents moved to North Carolina while she was a young girl. Her father, Willie Coles, was a highly successful furniture executive in Lexington, North Carolina. In 1976, Sandy graduated from Lexington High School and was presented at the North Carolina State Debutante Ball in Raleigh the following year.
I had a similar.
She's like this young, well-to-do socialite.
I had a similar experience growing up.
You were a debutante?
Yup. And
I've
a
seen
well-groomed
those.
socialite.
I've seen those photos of your beautiful white dress, the white satin gloves.
Yes.
Your little tiara.
We called it a night to remember.
You
was the debutante ball that I sticks out really in my memory.
You were beautiful.
Yeah, I felt beautiful.
You were very pretty. Rob had more humble beginnings in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Sugar Grove, Virginia. His parents were a high school math teacher and a librarian. So as you can see, I mean, he came from modest means. In school, friends remembered him as a natural leader of sorts. He played basketball, was well liked. By the time he was attending Wake Forest, Rob was a member of the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, and he was a resident advisor, so an RA in the dorms. It is at Wake Forest that Sandy and Rob met and fell in love. By 1982, they were married at the First Baptist Church in Lexington. The fairy tale wedding was large. Like, Rob had 7 groomsmen.
Wow. That's a lot of buddies.
In attendance were some of the important people of Lexington, friends of the Cole family. Sandy's family, they were definitely, as I mentioned before, like the country club types.
So, what do you expect when you marry into a hotshot furniture executive's family? You know what I mean? The who's who of plaid.
The who's who of plaid.
Yeah. Prince.
Maybe there's some florals in there.
There could be florals.
Okay. Maybe a nice damask.
You have a dynamic, she's like this, comes from this family, kind of country club types, and then he comes from more modest means, more of your regular, I don't know if you'd say blue collar, but just working class people, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And so Rob was kind of folded into this lifestyle, a lifestyle that he had not really known before. And at first, it was a big adjustment for a young man like Rob who hadn't grown up with a lot of money. But soon, he was living it up. He really embraced this, moneyed lifestyle, hobnobbing with quote-unquote important people.
Would you stay grounded? Or would you just fly to the stars if you had this opportunity to kind of live around money where it seemed like it didn't matter as much?
Well, do I have money myself?
Yeah. Well, no, if you did. I'm not going to,
Because I don't want to be like poor and be on the fringes of money. Because, that's pretty much been my whole life. So how's that going to be any different?
Well, no, You
mean if I had a little bit of money and was like around these fancy people?
Yeah.
No, you know me. I'm still going to be the same, like, red seal dipping, spitting, little firecracker that you love and hate, Dylan.
Yeah, that's right. You still wear your overalls and your boots.
It's true.
I think I would
be at their fancy cocktail party, like, ain't you got some Merle Haggard on that jukebox?
But that's one of these things where you get invited to these vacations and second homes and blah, this and that. And
honestly, that shit just sounds like exhausting.
Especially visiting other people at all their stuff like that.
I'm
might
not
be
social, so I don't want to do those things. I don't want to go on like a group vacation, right? I don't want to go watch some boring polo game or like golf. I don't want to participate in golf. You're
not even going to be there.
I don't want to play tennis.
Oh, okay.
It's hot and sweaty and just like running around chasing a ball. Just like, ugh.
Are these the modern day trappings of wealth, like the sitting room and the reading room and the fox hunt where they go run the fox ragged and then take you to where the fox is at?
I could be wealthy in like Victorian times or like turn of the century when we got to go fox hunting.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That sounds good. But not just like we're going to go hang out at the club, and it's like Bushwood Country Club. And you have like Judge Smells there or whatever.
Bushwood Country Club. Okay. Yeah, so Heather would stay grounded.
Yes.
That's what we learned.
Okay, now moving along. Rob's first job was with the Lane Company in Alta Vista, Virginia. Sandy was teaching school at that time. By 1985, Rob was seeking bigger and better opportunities and applied at the Hickory Furniture Company in North Carolina. He impressed at his interviews and was offered a job with the company. He worked at K. Lynn, a division located in High Point. After 2 years, Rob left for Crestwood, where he would be named one of the vice presidents.
Wow. So
just like the Jeffersons, he's moving on up
he's making it happen.
to the east side.
That deluxe apartment in the sky.
And Emeraldwood Forest.
Beans don't burn on the grill.
Got that big old mortgage.
So Rob is making it happen.
Making it happen.
He is plotting his own path to success.
He's making our dreams come true. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm just going to keep going with these references.
I'm not sure what that is.
Tall Notes. You make my dreams come true.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the drawing board. So yeah, Dylan, like a pirate, he is there to enjoy his spoils. He's got that booty.
I knew you were going to say it.
And, he's digging it. So vice president.
Vice president.
The VP.
Nothing's going to stop him now.
No.
And his wife's following her dream as well.
Well, at this point, she has left teaching and she's a stay-at-home mom, but she's really active in the community, but raising their 2 children. Again, they have the 2 small children.
Yeah, and I think that should be seen as, for some reason in this day and age, it's becoming like, you're a stay-at-home mom. That is, you're lucky to be able to have that opportunity. And I think everyone that can do that should embrace it. Be it a stay-at-home mom or dad.
I know you would love to be a stay-at-home dad.
I would be a great stay-at-home dad.
I don't believe it. I think you would
good.
just be stoned all the time.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Like 95%. There'd be like that 5% that you weren't.
That's when I'm playing video games.
Exactly. Life seemed to be charmed for Rob and Sandy. She was an active supporter of Wake Forest sports. She attended a lot of the games. And they had a host of old friends from college. They even gathered every year for a reunion of sorts at Kiowa Island in South Carolina. They had this very active social life. As I mentioned, they've got the old college friends. They've got a lot of new friends. They had just moved into the High Point area, but had already become really active at church and had a lot of church friends. By all accounts, Sandy was head over heels in love with her husband. From their first date and through their 6 years of marriage, she was obviously devoted to him. People said it was like her love for him never wavered. It never changed. Like she was always just very smitten with him.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. In December of 1987, suddenly Sandy became ill. She had been experiencing numbness in her feet and fingers, along with vomiting and diarrhea.
Well, those are some troubling symptoms.
Now, at first, Sandy thought she was simply suffering from a seasonal stomach virus, but her symptoms lingered. Sandy's condition seemed to worsen over the next few days, and eventually doctors diagnosed her with Guillain-Barré syndrome.
I thought she had cranberry flu because it often lingers.
Oh my gosh. An autoimmune disorder in which the immune system begins attacking nerves.
Man, those autoimmune diseases are so tough because a lot of times they're misdiagnosed. And then when your body's just having this strong reaction in whatever system it is and attacking your own body with your immune system, that sucks, right?
Yeah, I think I have. Well, I've been told I have some kind
And there's
of
a lot of them.
autoimmune disorder, but I don't know what it is. But every time I get a virus, I break out in these hives.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
It's she's been told she has scabies
That's
by
not
more than
true.
one medical professional, and the cream helps. Sometimes we
That's-
have to use fire, open flames
That's not true at all.
to seal them off.
That's not true.
Okay.
And not to disparage anybody who's had
Oh,
that.
no.
But when I was in boot camp, my bunkmate caught scabies.
Oh, I wasn't disparaging
And-
anyone out there right now suffering with scabies.
So we didn't know if she had it before she came or if she got it from the linens because it's shared linens.
What?
And they issue you sheets and you turn them in and then you get
You
more
don't get the same
sheets.
sheets back.
No.
Wow.
So it's like communal laundry and different rotating sets of sheets. But I mean, I felt terrible for her. Her name was Heather also, but she had, it was like those little bugs embedded in her skin. And even after she got rid of it, it like left scarring.
Oh, yeah.
It seems terrible. So thanks for like making up that I have that because I don't.
Well, she doesn't anymore. She doesn't have them anymore.
I've never had them, you turd.
The creams and the open flames helped. But that's not to say anyone out there suffering from serious skin condition or autoimmune disease, they're really tough to deal with.
Well, they are.
So I'm sure she had a hard time with this.
Yes. By February, Sandy was feeling better. The Coulthards hosted a dinner party, and that's when Sandy, along with another female guest, got sick with similar symptoms. It was chalked up to the stomach virus must be still making like the rounds. We kind of know how that goes. Somebody catches it, it goes through the household, goes through everybody at work, school, and then maybe makes a second pass on your house.
Yeah, we not long ago had a stomach thing here in our house, and we literally had to finally, after a couple of weeks, break down and like wash all bed linen, Clorox the bathroom and tub, and it was just kept getting passed around. It was a mean one.
Yeah, we kept passing that around. I'm not feeling too great myself at this moment, Dylan.
Oh my God.
I know.
She just got sick on air, folks.
I've been not feeling that great all day. After this, Sandy seemed to be doing a bit better. Now, in May of 1988, the couple took a Caribbean cruise. Again, Sandy began experiencing vomiting and diarrhea. She thought it was some kind of tropical virus. And we've all heard of those like noroviruses that you can get on cruise ships. They seem nasty. Like last for days. And what a horrible place to get a fucking virus, like a stomach flu.
On a cruise ship.
On a boat.
With buffets.
Yeah.
And tight quarters.
And tiny bathrooms.
Yeah, tiny bathrooms.
Yeah, not fun. In mid-June, Rob had gone on a 5-day-long business trip, and on his way home, he picked up some fast food hamburgers for the family dinner. It was during this dinner that Sandy complained that her burger kind of tasted funny. Soon after, she grew sick once again and was vomiting. On June 18th, the vomiting was so intense that she had to be admitted to High Point Hospital. Her condition was so serious, they transferred her to Duke University Medical Center.
Wow.
Sandy had always been very healthy. She was athletic. She kept in good shape. Though concerned, family and friends thought she would soon pass whatever illness was ailing her. But the nausea continued. Rob sat by her bed for days, spoon-feeding his wife liquids, ice chips, because she just couldn't keep anything down. From the outside, it appeared the loving husband was caring for his sick wife. Yet Sandy's health rapidly deteriorated. At some point, doctors ran tests to see if she had been poisoned by arsenic, but they came back negative. After July 3rd, it seemed that Sandy went further downhill. She weighed 57 pounds above her normal weight due to water retention.
Oh, wow.
Sandy died on July 9th of 1988.
Man, she put on 57 pounds of water weight inside of a couple of months.
This is within a few weeks.
A few weeks. Wow.
This is the fluid retention.
That is just that's a huge change for your body. And I could only imagine being sick, trying all these different things to get to feel better. And it's just getting worse.
A funeral was held for Sandy at First Baptist Church of Lexington, and she was buried at Lexington City Cemetery. Sandy's brother, Steve Coles, who happened to be an attorney, was appointed administrator of her estate. He was surprised when doing an inventory of her assets to learn that Sandy carried a $350,000 life insurance policy. with Rob and the children listed as beneficiaries. Now, it's not unusual for a mother or any parent to have a life insurance policy, but what struck her brother as odd with this was the fact that Rob had taken it out in early 1987.
So how long is that before this?
About a year.
Yep. Nope. Can't be under the 2-year mark, bud.
Due to Sandy's unexplained death, the insurance company withheld its payment. Sandy had owned $27,000, $27,170 in personal assets. Now, this included stocks and bonds, her household furnishings, and a 1987 Pontiac Oldsmobile station wagon that was in her name. And there was nearly $10,000 in shared bank accounts between the husband and wife. Another surprise was that the couple had 2 mortgages on their home. I think they had originally paid about $150,000 for this house, but they also owed like another $140,000 on the second mortgage.
Wow. That's a big deal to take out a second mortgage or to access all your equity in a home. I mean, a lot of people do it for different reasons, but, that's kind of weird.
On July 13th, Dr. McBay, a chief toxicologist for the state medical examiner's office, released a shocking autopsy report. He stated that Sandy had died from arsenic poisoning.
Wow.
Now, I was wondering, so why, if this is the case, didn't it show up when she was tested for it in the hospital? But the way it works, they were saying that, I guess the amount of dosage that it could be out of your system depending on when you were given the dose. So when they test, it doesn't always show up because there's like sort of specific testing for it. And we're going to get into that. Now, immediately, the High Point Police Department began investigating Sandy's death. At first, investigators thought perhaps Sandy's death had been a suicide or product tampering. Though it was hard to imagine anyone would intentionally commit suicide by that manner, it didn't take long for the police to narrow it down to homicide. Only 4 people at Duke University Medical Center could have administered a fatal dose of arsenic to Sandy. Her parents, her mom and dad, her brother, or her husband. When Rob was brought in for questioning, he was fully cooperative with law enforcement. He even talked to police without an attorney. He freely gave investigators access to all of his files, including financial records. Rob allowed a search of the family home to be conducted, and police were looking for an ant poison, taro.
So he's being, as far as I can tell, he's being fully cooperative, letting them search everything, and they're obviously looking for evidence to support the theory that he poisoned her with arsenic. So they're looking for any containers, any leftover residue.
Yeah, and they really thought perhaps it was this ant poison.
A specific ant poison that has enough arsenic to kill someone is readily available to the public.
Yes, and that would be this taro brand. And we've used those little taro, like the little bait traps, because we get those little sugar ants sometimes, and they're really effective.
Is that arsenic?
I don't know.
Oh.
I guess at this time, there was arsenic in this ant poison.
Wow.
A major break in the case came when Captain McGuire with the High Point Police Department read a Reader's Digest book excerpt. You know how Reader's Digest will have a little book excerpt, like trying to encourage you to go read? It'll give you like a chapter.
Yeah. And that works sometimes.
No, it totally can suck you in. This one happened to be about Napoleon. A Swedish dentist had theorized that Napoleon died from arsenic poisoning and had written a book, The Murder of Napoleon. Traces of arsenic are deposited in the ends of hairs, leaving clear marks that can compare to like rings in a tree trunk. A cross-section of a single hair can determine how much arsenic a victim consumed and the number of doses taken, even down to the dates those doses were administered. Captain McGuire wondered if perhaps they could learn more about Sandy's death by testing some strands of hair.
It all comes out in the hair. Very often, no matter the substance you ingest into no matter what system of your body, it will show up in your hair.
That's why so many companies do like hair testing.
If they want the real...
They do drug testing.
If they want the real story that's very hard to tamper with, it is a hair test. It's a follicle test. is one of the most accurate things you can do. And you can literally see when people started and stopped using substances over a very long time, depending on how long their hair is.
And now I know why you don't have any hair.
And why I always prepare your drinks, right?
I don't trust you. I don't let you prepare my drinks.
Well, in these situations, that's what sucks so bad about it is it's typically someone closest to the victim that is continuing to poison them.
It's just such a cruel way to kill somebody.
It's horrible.
You've got this prolonged, painful, just horrific death.
Yeah, and you can sit there and watch them deteriorate while the doctors run around like, what do? We don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, it's sadistic.
And continue to dose them.
On July 28th, Sandy's body was exhumed. Hair samples were submitted to the FBI lab for testing in Washington, D.C. The test revealed that Sandy Coulthard had 142 parts per million of arsenic in her system. Most people's bodies contain like 1 to 2 parts per million, comparatively.
So 142 times normal amount.
Yes. The analysis determined that Sandy was given arsenic on 5 separate occasions, and the dates the poison were given or was administered. Sandy's relatives, her mother, father, and brother, were ruled out as suspects. That only leaves Rob Coulthard on the top of the list. The only person to have access to her on those specific dates when she was dosed.
So the hair test told it all.
Everything. It don't lie. It's like them hips, dude.
It's like Craig.
It don't lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't got to lie. You ain't got to lie, hair test. It was on Monday, September 19th, that police arrested Rob Coulthard and charged him with first-degree murder. At the bond hearing, 6 witnesses testified on Rob's behalf about his character. All 6 were in disbelief that he could have done such a thing. He and Sandy seemed to have it all, the perfect life. His attorney, William Osteen, requested a $50,000 bond, stating how cooperative Rob had been with police. However, the prosecution pointed out that Rob often traveled for work and had the means to flee, mentioning that at the time of his arrest, Rob had tickets to both Detroit and Houston in his possession. The judge ultimately denied him the bond.
Well, I think someone who travels all the time has the company credit card and, is familiar with traveling, catching a plane. Passport.
Likely.
I think you
Don't
certainly...
think about Houston and Detroit. Those are both areas where you can quickly be in another country. All you have to do in Detroit is cross the bridge and you're in Canada.
Yeah.
You're in Houston. All you have to do is travel south. You're in Mexico.
Boom. So I think it certainly was a flight risk, right?
Investigators learned that Rob had purchased a pound of arsenic from a New Jersey chemical company on September 26th of 1986. It was enough to kill 2,500 people.
Jesus, he got a whole pure pound of arsenic.
He had the package sent to Kaylin, where his office was located in High Point. Rob had ordered the package under a fake name, and it had also been delivered under that fake name to his company. And the name was actually a real person who had been running for public office at the time. So they concluded that he had probably heard this name or read this name in the newspaper or seen a sign and just used that name.
Instead of Rob, it was under the pseudonym Bob.
Probably.
Yeah.
This guy, he's no genius. Several mistakes were made by Rob, including writing a personal check for the poison in the amount of $160. He told law enforcement during their interview that at no time had he ever bought arsenic. But remember, he had granted police access to all of his financial records, and they found the canceled check.
In the memo line, it said for arsenic.
A secretary at Kaylin had recalled that Rob talked about how he was needing arsenic to kill pests at his home, specifically rodents. Another employee said Rob had placed the order for his uncle, who was into taxidermy. So Rob was telling this guy, oh, I'm ordering this for my uncle who is a taxidermist.
So he's going to poison the deer and then stuff it?
I don't know what you would do with arsenic for taxidermy purposes. 2 phone calls had been placed from Kaylin to Moses Cone Hospital in Greensboro, North Carolina. A Moses Cone employee had taken the call, which was suspicious enough that they had made note of it. An unidentified male had asked whether arsenic could be absorbed through the skin. The caller claimed to be phoning on behalf of his uncle, who was exposed to arsenic while working as a taxidermist.
Ah, yes, sounds very familiar.
The prosecution theorized that Rob waited for the birth of their son Adam and for Sandy to conclude breastfeeding the child before giving her the first dose.
So he's just waiting for the perfect time when the baby's off the teat so he can kill her and then have the kids.
How sad.
How disgusting.
The case against Rob was mounting. By October, Rob obtained 2 new defense attorneys who filed 44 pre-trial motions. The most important was a request to change the venue from Guilford County, to Durham or Wake County. The case had received massive publicity in Guilford County, they argued, and would likely taint the jury pool. However, the motion was denied.
So, when you have these salacious headlines, husband poisons wife, blah, this and that, do you think you can still receive a fair trial when it catches a whole lot of media coverage? When it's in the newspapers, do you?
I do think so.
So, and I think...
because I think when you go, maybe I'm wrong, but I firmly believe, in my opinion, that you go into, a jury pool, and when you are selected, they take you through they walk you through this very specific process of these are the things that you look for, and if there's reasonable doubt, and you follow the facts, and you follow the evidence of the case, and I believe that given that information, most people, I would like to think, are smart enough to be discerning of what is fact and what is fiction.
So as long as you follow the rules set out by the court and the judge,
Yes.
Then you're going to be a good juror, and it's not going to matter if you're a county or 3 over. You're going to listen to the evidence.
That's what I would like to believe is true.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have that tried in the press kind of thing, and once you get an overwhelming percentage of the people who maybe think you're guilty, I don't know how much it changes or how much it helps or hurts.
Well, I just don't think moving it. Guilford County, that's like the Greensboro area, okay? And there is a part of High Point that resides in that county. But you're talking Wake or Durham County. That's not very far away from
Well,
Guilford
that's the
County.
thing.
That's literally like a county or 2 over.
A county over is not going to make that much of a difference.
No.
Really, it's just...
If it's on the news in Greensboro and High Point, it's going to be on the news in Raleigh. It's going to be on the news in Durham.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the news in Winston. It's going to be on the news in Charlotte, in Asheville. You're going to hear this news story.
In a 300-mile radius, it's going to be on the news and in the newspaper.
It was discovered by Rob's attorneys that he had been living a double life. Nearly $75,000 of his salary had been spent on clothes, shoes, cars, and gambling.
Ah, so here we come with motive.
He had been placing calls to sex lines from his office phone.
That'll do it.
Those 1-900 numbers.
Call now. You want to suck my toes?
Ooh.
Call now. 1-900-JAM.
1-900 Dylan.
Yeah.
So, someone out there is listening and they're calling that number. Somebody wants to suck on your mill toes.
I listened to this podcast. It was about the history of the 1-900 numbers. You
Operator.
Operator.
Yes.
That is incredible. You should listen to that.
It is a great podcast.
Yes.
Very fascinating. Sandy had known about her husband's multiple extramarital affairs and had seemingly forgiven him, trying to make the marriage work. They learned the first dose of arsenic had been administered when Rob returned home from the business trip with a woman. So he'd gone on this fancy business trip with a lady.
What the hell? And she's at home with the kids.
Yep.
And he's going to poison her when he gets back. That's disgusting.
Yes.
That's horrific.
Well, Rob is not a good guy in the
Monstrous.
story.
And you're off bumping uglies with whoever.
On a business trip.
On a business, quote-unquote, trip.
When you just a lying-ass piece of shit. While Sandy was on her deathbed at Duke University Medical Center, Rob had placed phone calls to another mistress from the hospital, from the room where his wife was dying.
God, he's gross.
After an intensive 9-week-long investigation, Rob's trial began on November 28th. Rob Coulthard pled guilty to first-degree murder. The plea came as a surprise to just about everyone. Yet those who had seen the mountain of evidence knew he had little choice. It was ruled a jury could not consider the death penalty due to aggravating factors necessary for a capital conviction. So really, I mean, he had painted himself into a corner here. He didn't really have a choice. I mean, he could go to trial, but they were gonna find him guilty.
Right.
Right? So he
Yes.
had to plead this.
Well, at that point, if they offer some kind of plea just to finish it up, make it all official, and everyone, including the victim's family, is comfortable with that, then that's in the best interest of the defendant at that point.
This just seems like such a fucking waste. I mean, you kill this poor woman, your wife, the mother of your children, you deny your children a mother. Also, you can just turn around and admit what you did and go to prison. I mean,
Yeah.
what a fucking idiot.
So you just took away both parents and accomplished absolutely nothing.
Exactly. He's a fucking idiot. Though there were some monetary gain that could have come from Sandy's death, it was ultimately concluded that he didn't do it for the money. Robin wanted out of the marriage. He didn't want to divorce Sandy and start over. Rob considered a divorce would mean a fall from grace, so he would lose his social standing, that upper middle class lifestyle that he had so lovingly embraced. He could potentially lose his job because his, father-in-law had these connections
Right.
in the furniture world. He would end up paying a lot of alimony and basically have to start over like from scratch because it was likely she could get the house or they would have to sell the house, walk away with nothing because they had this double mortgage on the house.
So it's not about money, but it is about money.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because he just he wants to be the sympathetic widower, right? And then probably even a piece of shit like him would abuse and use the sympathy he gained from that to his advantage at every turn, I'm sure, from his wife having passed away tragically. He's just, he didn't want to
He's so gross.
be an adult, basically.
Why get married? Have children, invest in this marriage, and then just up and decide, like, you know what? I want to run around and be a single guy.
I think I'm going to poison my wife.
Investigators concluded that Rob had given her the 5th and fatal dose in a spoonful of ice as she lay in the hospital bed.
Damn.
The female guest who had become sick at their party was tested, but she didn't have arsenic poisoning. It was just a strange coincidence.
Okay.
Like she really did just have like food poisoning or like a stomach bug. Authorities investigated the possibility that Rob's girlfriend, the one he had phoned from the hospital, might have also been involved, but ultimately concluded that she had no knowledge of the poisonings. And she was just as horrified as everyone else when she found out that this married man has poisoned his wife.
Well, yeah, because you can't admit that that's not something you go around advertising or discussing with people typically, Oh, yeah, I don't think I want to go through the trouble of divorcing my wife and worry about custody and alimony. I think I'll just poison her, right?
The Coulthard children went to live with Sandy's parents who legally adopted them. The children changed their last name to Coles. Both children have gone on to college and are, seemingly successful, doing well. According to Steve Coles, the children have had no contact with Rob, and they don't wish to speak to him.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Rob received a 55-year to life sentence. He is currently incarcerated and has been denied parole every time since 2008 when he's been up for parole. Rob spent time in 7 prisons working as a groundskeeper at one unit. He's committed some infractions in prison, with the most recent being a weapons possession back in 2017.
Wow.
But otherwise, prison officials have said he's he's really kind of, that's not, I mean, he had had a few infractions, but that it wasn't anything major and that he hadn't really been a problem at all in prison. Steve Coles, Sandy's brother, has called Rob an irredeemable psychopath and said if he was released, he believes Rob would commit crimes again.
Yeah. I don't think it would take extraordinary circumstances to put him in that position again, because no one was pressing him now. He was living this double life, extravagant life, trying to fund it. And it sounds like his wife knew about some of their troubles and was just trying to make it work for the kids. And so
She loved him.
Yeah, and she loved him, wanted to stay with him and make it work.
And she was willing to overlook these things to stay in this marriage. And he's just a shitbird.
That is exactly what he is.
Stuart Coles, Rob's biological daughter, had met with the parole board to oppose her father's release.
So it doesn't sound like anyone in the family supported him. And it seems like the truth came out about what really happened to their mother.
Yes.
Like you said, just so pointless. Absolutely nothing accomplished here. You didn't protect anything. You made everything worse.
Yeah, like you didn't win.
No.
You're like the biggest loser on the planet. You lose in all the ways.
In all the categories.
Yeah, like he's just a big fucking idiot.
Fucking Rob.
Not smart about it. I mean, just dumb at every turn when it comes to plotting a murder and carrying it out. Down to leaving a damn canceled check, and you're like, what is wrong with this dumbass?
I want to leave a paper trail, so I'm going to buy the arsenic with a personal check from my account, and I'm going to have it sent to my place of employment.
Now, one thing I did find interesting about this case, Dylan, one of the reasons why I chose to cover this case, is poisoning tends to be a woman's tool.
It's
for
true.
Murder.
It's true.
It is not often that you get a male poisoner.
That's very true. I don't know the statistics, but that's definitely typically a woman's mode of operandi.
Yeah, in the true crime community of the poisoning cases that we've covered, we had, what's her name? Anjanette Lyles out of Macon, Georgia, kind of a famous poisoner. We covered the Dr. Was it Nancy Yoder case?
Yep.
And she was poisoned by a female. It just tends to be a tool that women use when they're committing crimes, murder, and also arsenic. I don't know. To me, that just seems like an old like something that people did a lot. I think of like arsenic and old lace. It makes me think of something like people did in the Victorian era.
Why, she's been poisoned by mercury. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
It just seems like an old-fashioned way to kill somebody.
Someone's fed her lead paint chips.
Anyway, I just thought that was kind of an interesting observation that, most men choose other means to murder their wives, typically don't poison them.
It's true.
But there's some element of just cruelty to poisoning.
That's very true. And it's vicious. I mean, if you can just sit there and watch someone, like I said.
Your wife, the mother of your children,
yeah,
this person that you've married.
Slowly die and waste away.
It's so cruel.
And then give them that last dose to make sure they die. Well, that was this week's episode. And like Heather mentioned, we are in a bit of a flux and we are moving the studio and ourselves to another home. So we may be slow to come back, but we typically won't go more than a week, right?
No, we're going to definitely try to stay on top of getting episodes out.
Yes.
I'm just not promising that we're going to stick to like a regular schedule. You may get an episode on Sunday. You may get one on Monday. We'll get you an episode.
You might get one Wednesday morning.
It's
Who knows?
just going to come at probably a wonky time when you're not expecting it. You'll be sitting on the toilet at like 2 a.m. on a Thursday morning and, look, a new Mountain Murders. But we will get the episodes out to you, but just to let you guys know over the next couple of weeks, our schedules are kind of crazy out of whack. Dylan's got a lot going on. Y'all know I kind of started like a new job, been working a whole lot. Now we're moving. So just got a lot going on.
Yes, and in the meantime, if you cannot stand to wait for a little bit more Mountain Murders, you can go over to patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast. And you, for a small donation on one of the, $3 tiers, $1, $3, $5, you can enjoy all kinds of bonus content. And there will be so much ear candy for your hole there, right?
You mean like your ear holes?
Yeah, your ear holes.
Okay.
Yeah, put it right in there.
Good.
All right. And if you're feeling froggy and you want to take just a second out of your day, you can leave us a 5-star review.
We do love that. And don't forget, we're on YouTube. A lot of people forget that they can listen on YouTube. And we would appreciate it if you would just hit subscribe on our YouTube channel.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. Hope you guys have a great week. And Halloween is coming up. We will have an episode out for you in honor of Halloween.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I can't wait.
Spooky episode. But hopefully this week you are gearing up for the big day.
I want to drink the blood.
Yes. Buy your candy and do whatever sassy, sexy, spooky things that you're going to do this week.
Call up Spooky Puppet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that means.
That's Fat Puppet's little cousin.
Bye.